What's up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages? I'm going to tell you what, these telemarketer calls have got absolutely out of control. So, for probably the 50th time, I have got a call from this company, and they say, "Hey, we want to verify your business with Google." I said, "Okay, well, I'm the business owner. The name's the same. There you go, verify it. You're talking to me. It's good. Just click the little box and say verified." And they're like, "No. You're missing out on customers." And I'm like, "Okay, well, how am I missing out on customers?" Like, "Well, because your business is not, verified." I'm like, "Okay, well, great. You're talking to me. Just verify my business." Like, no. You need to pay us, $200-300 a month so that we can verify your business and make sure your listing stays great. And I'm like, "Okay." Here's the funny thing. They name off other tree businesses that are in my area, and one of them, I know for a fact, is not paying them $300 a month. I guarantee you. Like, I mean, nothing against that business, but just, I know him, I know his business, and I guarantee you, he is not paying them $200 or $300 some dollars a month, for their services. And so I'm just like, well, so then I start telling them, like, well, you found me, so why can my customers not find me? And they're like, "Oh, well, these other businesses are popping up before you." I'm like, "Well, you found me. I mean, you got my number, you know my name, you know my business name. What's the problem?" So I don't get it. And they're like, "Oh, well, no. So then I'm like, "Okay, well, you're Google. What's the problem?" They're like, "Oh, well, actually, we're not Google. And here's the company's name. It's OLS. OLS was the company name." And I said, "Okay, so you work for Google?" They said, No. We don't work for Google." I said, "Okay, well, then you work with Google." "No, we don't actually work with Google. We're a marketing company." I said, "Well, you called me and you said that you wanted to verify my Google listing. So what's the deal? Do you work with Google? Because you dropped the Google name at least 10 times by this point." I'm Google. I Google listing, Google this, Google that, Google something else. So do you work with Google but anyway, so at this point in time, and they always try to transfer you to somebody else. Like, "Well, sir, I'm new here. I'm going to transfer you to, my sales lead, because I don't want to give you the wrong information. Da. And all that's just a ploy. Okay, so then when I keep I could hear in the background the whole time. You know, there's calls, there's people talking, there's background noise. Well, then the background noise would cut out. And I learned this from Pierogi. Like, when they put you on mute, that's when they're asking there's a person standing beside them that tells them, you know, who's listening in on the call and tells them what to say and what to do. So when I hear that cut out, I'm like, hey, why did you put me on mute? So then the third time that I asked her, so then she would come back and I'd say, hey, look, please don't put me on mute. I'm trying to talk to you. Please don't put me on mute. You know, or don't mute the call. Sorry, I'm still getting over a cold. But so then just went through it and went through it and went through it. Long story short, she finally hung up. I've been getting these calls for years and years and years. All it is just a scheme to get your money. I don't know that they ever do hey car, golly, slow down a little bit there. I don't know if they ever do anything. And I told her, I said, okay, well, I finally told her, I said, okay, look, when you transfer me to your supervisor, in the time that I'm holding, I'm gonna Google your company. And then that's when she started putting me on mute. And she put me on mute the first time and then came back and I was like, hey, don't mute your call. You know, like don't mute your audio. And then she came back again, or she put me on mute again, and she, you know, and I said, hey, don't do that. Like, are you talking to me or are you talking to somebody else? You know, and then the third time that I said it, she put me on mute, and then she came back and I said it again, and she just disconnected. Didn't say a word, just disconnected. So, you know, but here's the deal. Like, when these companies call you, first off, number one, and I'm gonna keep this video short. Number one, if anybody calls you and asks for money, do not give it to them. Period. Okay? I've actually had that's my rule number one. If somebody calls me on the phone and asks me for money, I do not give it to them. I go through another legitimate source that I know is reliable. So let me explain that. So, I got a loan one time, you know, an inexpensive loan, and they never sent me any paperwork. I don't know if it got lost in the mail or what, but I knew that this loan was due, but I didn't know who to call because it was financed through another company. You know, I went to a dealership, purchased a vehicle. It was financed through another company, and I didn't know that company's name. And I said, well, look, hey, when they get ready for their money, they're going to call me. This may seem irresponsible on my part, but just hear me out. And I said, well, look, when they get ready, you know, they'll call me. And I'm like, you know, I haven't heard anything. So I know when they get ready for their money, they're going to call me. Like, I wasn't trying to hold them out. Well, so finally, one of their representatives called me and they said, hey, look, we noticed you haven't made a payment on this loan. And I said, oh, yes. Yeah, I've been waiting for y'all to call me so that I could pay you. And she said, oh, great. Well, we'll go ahead and take your debit card, information or your credit card information today, and we'll just go ahead and process the payment. And I said, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't give money to people on the phone. I said, please, just tell me the website that I can go to. Or I said, can I pay it online? She said, yes, you can pay it online. I said, okay, well, will you please give me that information so I can go look up my loan and pay it online? She said, yes, here you go. Here's your account number, da-da-da-da-da. Here's your loan number, da-da-da-da-da. Here's your payment amount, da-da-da-da-da. And since this is your first payment, we're not gonna charge you any late fees. We understand this got lost in the mail. Everything's good. And I was like, okay, I will go do that today, and I will pay, what is past due plus, next month's payment. And she was like, okay, great. And I said, ma'am, I'm not trying to offend you, but I just don't give money to people over the phone. She was like, I completely understand. 100% understand. So, that's what I'm saying. So, and I went online, I looked up my account, I set up everything, got logged in, and then corrected the salesman that I bought the vehicle from, he put in my address wrong. So that's why it got lost in the mail. But once the company contacted me, and they waived all the late fees, the penalties, everything, which I was only, like 28 days or something behind. Because once it flagged it in their system, they were fine. And, I went that day and I made the previous month's payment plus that payment, and got everything caught up. And then after we corrected everything, started getting, the billing cycle in the mail and all that stuff. But it's just, man, these scam companies that call people, golly, I really feel bad for the people that work there. Like, the people that work for these companies, I feel bad for them because, they're trying to earn a living, but at the same time, they have to know what they're doing. And in a lot of these foreign countries where it's much harder to earn a living, I don't know. I would compare it to like drug dealers in America. You can earn a really nice, I'm assuming, I've never done it, but from what I've heard, until you go to jail or you die, you can earn a really nice living dealing drugs in America. But it's not legitimate. And we could go down this rabbit hole for a long time because, I know tree companies that just overcharge the crap out of people. Just overcharge the crap out of them. And they've got really super nice equipment, but they're, a job that I would bid for $3,000 or $4,000, they're bidding for, like $20,000 to $25,000. And I'm making money at $3,000 to $4,000. And they can do it in half the time it takes me. Half or a third of the time it takes me. And they're charging 4 times the price. And it's like, I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole, but just look. Hey, love y'all. Don't give any money to anybody over the phone. I got to get to the job. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank y'all. Deuces, homies.